They love you. We love you. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for not making me put a toilet plunger on my head.
Well, the night is young.
I watched the segment.
I
was like, oh my God, what does he do on this show?
He's the plumber in the thing. I have a thousand questions I wanted to ask you, a zillion things, but of course everyone's talking about the biggest news story now. Trump got indicted.
Yes.
What do we know so far, and what do we think is going to happen?
Well, we don't know a lot because the indictment is still sealed.
Right.
But we've heard that there are reports there are as many as 30 charges in the indictment. It will be unsealed on Tuesday afternoon around 2 o'clock, 2:15, when former President Trump will be arraigned, which is an historic first. It has never before happened in the history of the United States of America. And he will be taken downtown to be processed. He will be fingerprinted. They will take a mugshot. It is.
Is this a bizarre time to be? You're premiering your show on Monday.
We are, and it's an incredible news cycle to be working in. And you know, this show and it's a brand new cable news channel. Like, we need another one. I know everybody's like, we got another one, seriously?
Yeah.
But it's a good one.
Yeah.
and I promise,
yeah.
because I think right now on cable news you see a lot of shouting, talking heads on the far right and the far left, and I think the 80% of America is in the middle somehow, and they're the forgotten majority.
Yeah, and we get to see Elizabeth Vargas. You were one of my favorites. You are an incredible journalist, award-winning. Did you always want to be on TV? Just hearing your voice, by the way, I get chills. You're so good.
You're so funny. You're so full of it. Come on.
I'm not, I swear. I'm a giant. By the way, backstage talking is different than this voice.
Oh, please. Anyway, no, I did not always want to be.
That's not how you talk backstage. You're like, hi, Jimmy.
I do not sound like a
No, but you're very professional. But no, you know how to do it. This clip is going around the internet now. This is from back in the Today Show in 1994.
Oh,
with
yeah.
You. Everyone was trying to figure out this new thing called the internet. Take a look at you and Brian Gumbel and Katie Couric trying to figure out what the internet is.
That little mark with the A and then the ring around it?
At?
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
What is
internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network. The one that's becoming really big now. A lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
Can you explain what internet is? Isn't it wild to watch it now?
That clip gets resurrected about every 4 months on Twitter and social media, and people are like, oh my God, have you seen this? It was like, yes, about 49,000 times.
Yeah.
But here's the funny story. First of all, my kids, I've got 2 teenage sons.
Yeah.
They took a look at it and they were like, Mom, you're the one who's explaining what the internet is? I mean,
you know nothing about the internet.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so wild.
But you know what? BMW used that clip for a huge Super Bowl commercial. Oh. And they cut me out. It was only Bryant and Katie, and they got free BMWs.
Wait, what?
I got completely shafted on that.
We can make this all good. BMW, if you're watching, first of all, I'm the one that brought it up.
Yes.
So I think... And you all were here witness, and you all deserve cars. Everyone here deserves a BMW. Come on, make it right. Make it right, BMW.
You're the new Oprah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah, no one's getting a card. We were talking backstage, and I go, you've interviewed every single person, and I want to go. There's such a giant list, but I just picked 2 that stuck in my head. I go, I'd love to hear the story. Tell me about when you interviewed Mick Jagger, who's one of my all-time faves.
Oh, you got the picture.
Yeah, look at
look at that.
What was he like?
First of all, he hardly ever gives interviews.
No, he doesn't like to talk with people. Yeah.
I could have just interviewed you.
Yeah, that's right. Where were we?
We gotta get a couple of wrinkles.
Yeah, we got to do it like that. Come on, what did you say to him? Where were you?
Well, here's the big thing. I was interviewing him in LA, and I was staying at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills in a tiny little room, and he was staying at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills in the massive presidential suite, which is the entire top floor of the hotel.
Yeah.
And some producer in New York, who I hadn't worked with before, decided to email me, fax me. Fax me. some questions that she thought would be good to ask Mick Jagger.
What is the internet?
I know. What is
What's a fax machine?
The concierge of the hotel took them and put them under Mick Jagger's door instead of my door. And the questions were bad. And I was awakened the morning of the interview with a panicky phone call from the booker in New York saying, you've got to go straight away up to Mick Jagger's presidential suite and make this right and tell him that this, this was some rogue producer in New York who didn't know what, she was doing. And
because you're not even allowed to give questions.
No, we never give questions out, but I don't even write down questions when I do interviews. I mean, I would never have asked those questions that were being faxed. They were not good questions. Ooh. So they said, you've got to go up there right away. And I was like, oh my God.
He said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
So, no, that's what he said.
Yeah, no way, get away.
And so I go and I knock on the door, and he answers the door, and he's wearing a silk kimono robe.
Stop it, come on.
That is open to his navel.
Yeah! Yes, because he can do that because he's Mick Jagger.
Yes.
I love that guy.
He can.
Yeah, he's a fashion icon. I love it.
Anyway, I had to go into the suite, which took us 5 minutes to walk through all the many rooms to finally get to the living room and sit down and convince him to do the interview.
And did he do it?
He did it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because he's the best.
Yeah.
And you got to see him in the kimono.
And story. He's really smart.
Oh, he's brilliant.
He's a really smart guy.
Brilliant. He knows exactly what he's doing. And then the other story that it touched me, actually. I thought it was beautiful. This story, you interviewed Joe Biden before he was president.
Right before he was president. I've interviewed him many times. I interviewed him and Lindsey Graham in the Green Zone in Iraq, in Baghdad, during the war. And that's when the two of them were playing well together. Wow. But he wrote a beautiful book called Promise Me Dad about his son, Beau Biden, who died of brain cancer. Yep. And asked me to please come down to Florida, interview him in front of a live audience, which I did, and that's a picture of us backstage. And of course, I was, at the end of the interview, I had to ask, are you going to run for president? And it was right before he went back up to Delaware to meet with the family and decide. But he was great because he came backstage afterward and he said, and he spent a lot of time talking, and he said, can I call your sons? And I was like, what? And he said, hand me your phone, call your son. So I called my son, Zachary, and he spoke for 15 minutes on the phone, first with my son, Zachary, and then with my son, Sam, basically saying, thank you for letting your mom come down here tonight and interview me, and giving her up for a school night, because it was a school night. Yeah. And, I'd like to take you out for a Coke next time I'm in New York. Like, yeah, right. But...
Are you going to be interviewing people on the news show?
Oh yes, it's mostly interview driven. We're going to it's an hour-long show from 6 to 7 East Coast time, and we're going to take the handful of the biggest stories and go really deep on them. And I love doing live interviews, Jimmy. It's my favorite part of my job. Yeah. So I don't want to do just be a prompter jockey, as they call it, when you just do nothing but read story. So
on Monday, we're going to see you live. You're just going to...
Yeah, we've got a lot of great guests on Monday night already. I'm afraid to tell because I don't want to jinx it, but...
No, you don't have to tell. We all know who it is. Hey, remember me? I'm wearing a kimono. Hello, remember me? Hey.
He's never going to talk to me again.
No, he will.
Story.
I love you. Congratulations.
Thank
Good
you.
luck on everything.
Thank
Elizabeth Vargas, everybody. Elizabeth Vargas Reports premieres Monday at 6 p.m. on News Nation. More Tonight Show after the break. Stick around. Hey, hey.